Emily, the cat, and Stanley walked through the front door of Judge Marshall's burning home. Stanley could see the emergency vehicle's lights approaching in the distance and was hoping for the boy's safety and that the authorities would see his wife so he could explain what she had done. As they crossed the threshold of the main door, they suddenly appeared in a poorly lit area. It was difficult initially to be certain, but by the looks of it, it appeared to be a cemetery. It was dark out, so Stanley's eyes strained to immediately and fully acclimate. Where are we? Dear, watch your step. There are a lot of snakes here. At that moment, several snakes were at Stanley's heels, and he jumped out of fear. The snakes started to chase Stanley. Stanley was afraid of snakes. This fear was compounded by his unfamiliarity with the terrain and his limited ability to properly evade the snakes. He left both the cat and Emily behind as he ran through the maze of stones, trees, flags, wreaths of flowers. Stanley could not seem to escape the snakes. More seemed to appear as he ran through the stone maze. He stumbled as he tried to zigzag through the cemetery. He screamed because he was sure that he did not have enough time to get his feet away before all the snakes overtook and stuck him. He closed his eyes and raised his hands to cover his face. The impending snake bite seemed to take forever to occur. Then he felt a single cold-blooded strike. The snake's bite pierced Stanley's shoe and, although barely, lacerated his foot. Stanley anticipated more bites and kept his eyes clenched. There were no other bites. In fact, the snake that bit him had disappeared along with the others. Stanley's foot began to ache and rapidly swell inside of his shoe. He felt his foot growing and realized he needed to remove the shoe. He opened his eyes and discovered the snakes were gone. The only remnant of the terror that chased him was the severe pain he felt in his rapidly expanding foot. He pried the shoe off and tried to stand to his feet. He was unable to move. Stanley realized a single, strong hand was holding him in place. Emily stood in view. Stanley, have you realized where you are? Does this place mean anything to you? While still held to the ground by his clothes, his left hand explored. His hand pulled and pushed the earth around him. He felt slick, cold marble. He felt textured stone. He felt etched letters. He touched grass and he touched gravel. One particular thing he felt caught his attention. It was a loose stone. His hand engulfed it as his mind raced and tried to answer Emily's questions. Is this where Donald is? Emily's pressure lessened from Stanley's shoulder and she slowly removed her grip. Is this where my son is? In a weakened voice, very different from the confident, focused, and angry tone presented up until now, Emily responded, Yes, little Donald is here. I've grieved and cried for days now. Why haven't you been here to see him? He loved you so much. Donald looked up to you. He thought the world of his dad. I couldn't bring myself to see him. When I was his age, I enjoyed exploring and imagining as he did. A part of me died when Donald died. Listen, Emily, it may be hard to believe, but I loved you and our archaeologists. I also loved Ellen and the twins. As you may have noticed, I've never called them my sons. They were conceived out of an unplanned, inappropriate, but very genuine love. We both needed something. They were Judge Marshall and Ellen's children. They tried everything to have children. Ellen had given up and was content to never have children when we met at a coffee store and our orders were mixed. We exchanged drinks and sparked a surprisingly amiable conversation. When did your love for me change? It happened, I don't know. Where's the gravesite, dear? Look to your right. Walk forward. It's the third burial site with fresh soil on top of it. It has 5 black roses on it. 1 rose from me, 1 rose from you, 2 from his grandmother's, and 1 from his baby sister. Stanley moved forward and found the sight and wept. This is the first time that it hit him that Ellen had taken the life of his own son. He moaned and sobbed uncontrollably. As his body heaved up and down from emotion, Emily came closer to console him, as did the cat. Finally, both Emily and Stanley were side by side, mourning their son. They were sharing a genuine moment of reflection, emptiness, and grief. Emily, overcome with emotion, dropped to her knees and called her son's name loudly. Stanley rested his right hand on her shoulders and rubbed and massaged Emily. The cat pawed at Emily's thigh, letting her know that he wanted to jump into her lap. Emily allowed it and the cat purred. Without warning, Stanley took the rock he'd held in his left hand, the one he picked up from the cemetery ground as Emily held him in place just minutes earlier, and swung it in the front of himself, across the front of his body in an awkward angle, and smacked his wife on the front of her head. Emily fell forward. As Emily began to fall, the cat sensed something was awry and moved from her lap just in time so that he was not squashed underneath the weight of Emily's collapsing torso. Emily's body crumpled like an oriental handheld folding fan. With soulless, large gray eyes, Stanley raised his hand to swat Emily again, but the cat was not going to allow that to happen. He extended his claws, he sprung up and viciously dug his paws into Stanley's left hand, causing a huge gash and blood vessels immediately below the surface to flow. Stanley dropped the stone and attempted to dislodge the cat from his hand. In doing so, he attempted to throw the cat several feet away. Somewhere between still being connected and mid-flight, the cat transformed itself into a ravenous pit bull and just barely missed biting Stanley's hand. Realizing that his foe was now much larger and dangerous, Stanley stood up and turned to run. The pit bull landed between two headstones and rolled a bit before jumping onto his feet. Once upright, it immediately chased him. Stanley ran slightly slower than he normally could because of the earlier snake bite. His foot was still swollen, but Stanley soldiered on through the pain to try to evade the rapidly approaching dog. Stanley dodged through the different graves and headstones. The dog was within range several times, and each time took powerful bites. In his last attempt, the pit bull caught and ripped Stanley's pants and got a fleeting grip of his left leg. As he prepared to do more damage, Stanley kicked the dog with all his might in the head, which knocked him off his leg. The kick disoriented and stunned the dog. The dog lay motionless as it tried to regain its bearings and breath. Stanley stood up, hobbled away as best and as fast as he could. He had sustained sizable lacerations to his left leg from the dog and a swollen left foot from the earlier snake incident. As Stanley neared the street, he saw and frantically hailed a cab. Once in the cab, he instructed the driver to take him to Portland Hospital, where his mother was located. "I need to go to Portland's hospital." The driver looked over his shoulder at him strangely. "You do know where you are, right? You're in Connecticut. Are you on drugs? If you're going to give me trouble, I'll need you to exit my cab immediately. Take me to Hartford's hospital. I'll get care there and make my way to Connecticut." Stanley tried to devise a plan as the fullness of the previous event started to replay in his mind. "I look very disheveled at the moment, but I am an accomplished architect in the local area. If you want to make a lot of money tonight, I need you to be my personal driver. I would need you to take me to Portland. Name your price and I'll pay it." "I'll do it. It's slow tonight. We'll discuss the fare when we get there. Give me something as collateral now and we'll settle it when we arrive. I want your license and I want your watch. You'll get the license back, but not the watch." "Fine, take them both. Set the GPS, let's go." Stanley needed care immediately. He was at risk of potentially losing his leg or foot, both from the snake's poison and the dog's ravenous bite.